From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. It's great to be with all y'all this Tuesday morning, June 24th, 2025. A packed show today, a lot to talk about. We're going to get right into it. If you haven't checked out cyberhubpodcast.com, please consider doing so. You can get this podcast in written format with an action list, everything you need in your inbox almost immediately after the show. And so, as the CyberHub Podcast tradition, I have myself here a beautiful, amazing, delicious double espresso. Join me for a coffee cup cheers, y'all. Coffee cup cheers. So good. There's like a perfect time to make it right before I start the show. And if I make it at that perfect moment, which isn't always the case, it's just spot on. This was it this morning. All right. So back in August of last year, we talked a little bit about the McLaren healthcare ransomware attack and the Karmanos Cancer Institute. We're now getting an idea of the scope of that ransomware attack, where allegedly the threat actors have stolen over 740,000 people's private information during the attack. McLaren Healthcare filed documents on Friday concerning the ransomware attack that took place back in August. Letters to the victims said the suspicious activity was discovered on August 5th. Investigators found the attackers initially gained access as far back as July 17th. A forensic review completed last month found that 743,131 people had their information stolen. The breach data also included names, driver's license numbers, and some medical information. Victims are given 1 year of free credit monitoring due to this. So there's the impact of that. And again, whenever we start the show and we talk about these breach reporting, it's not to say that's a problem. So just to show you the scope of impact and sometimes how long forensics actually take, because forensics do take a while to get done and to do so responsibly and disclose it effectively and understand the entire scope. It takes time, and we live in a generation of now, like, give me my 15-second dose of a reel, and that's it. We live off of a headline. But really, in reality, the deeper we dig, the more complexities we find, and those complexities are good because they help balance our way of thinking about security, and that's really, really critical. Really critical. We move to Salt Typhoon. The Canadian Center for Cybersecurity and the US FBI are now issuing an advisory warning of cyber attacks mounted by Salt Typhoon, the China-linked threat actor, to breach global telecom providers as part of the espionage. The attackers are exploiting a critical Cisco iOS XE software that's CVE 2023-201-9 It's got a CVSS score of a perfect 10. They get that access to configure files from 3 network devices registered to Canadian telecommunication companies back in mid-February. The threat actors also have set to modify at least one of the files to configure a generic routing encapsulation tunnel, enabling traffic collection from the network. The name of the targeted company was not disclosed, although there's very few telecom companies in Canada. Stating that the targeting likely goes beyond the telecom sector, the agencies are targeting Canadian devices, may permit the threat actor collect information from compromised networks, and use them as a leverage to breach additional devices. Here's what we're seeing from Salt Typhoon. Their ability to go in and essentially take advantage and siphon traffic without detection, which again goes to the idea of network monitoring and network segmentation. When you consider what Salt Typhoon was able to do, it's likely because we believe an ingress and an ingest and an ingress point for a network is north-south traffic, and that's true. But what if you split the tunnel, right? And if you split the tunnel and you create an additional tunnel, you don't see that point because you're not really tracking it. That network visibility, that network observability is so critical in these situations. And when you're in telecom, it's even more critical. And so we have that there. The agencies further pointed out that the edge network devices continue to be an attractive target for Chinese state-sponsored attacks. We'll get into more of that here in just a second. The development comes as the UK National Cybersecurity Center revealed two different malware families dubbed Shoe Rack and Umbrella Stand that have been targeting the FortiGate 100D series firewalls made by Fortinet. So something to keep in mind there as well. And those are also linked to Chinese actors, but that's not all from China. Security Scorecard is reporting that a China-linked APTs built an operational relay box or an ORB network of more than 1,000 backdoored nodes for espionage purposes. The espionage infrastructure campaign, dubbed Lapdogs, has been targeting IT, media, networking, real estate, and other industries in the U.S. and Southeast Asian countries like Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. As part of the campaign, the threat actor has been infecting SOHO, small office, home office type of routers with custom backdoors named Short Leash, which provides stealthy long-term access to compromised devices. And then the backdoor can generate a self-signed TLS certificate posing as the LAPD. And it's not like the LAPD needs more. Apparently, the LAPD sympathizes more with the Iranians than the American population it's vowed to defend. So, using them might be smart. Maybe the LAPD is officially kind of done. I don't know. I mean, I hope not. Most of the infected devices are Ruckus wireless access points, followed by Buffalo Technology Air Station wireless routers running old unpatched SSH services. They were found vulnerable to CVE. Look how far back we're going. We're going back 10 and 8 years. 2015 1548 and 2017 17663. This campaign started in September of 2023, and based on the date the first identified certificate was issued, has been gradually growing in methodical and small-scale operations that would infect up to 60 devices per run. ORBs are using compromised devices to maintain stealthy long-term infrastructure. They're not launching any noisy or disruptive attacks. They function as a flexible infrastructure, can provide operational cover for some malicious activity. The compromised devices in the network continue to function as usual during the campaign, which can make detection and attribution even elusive there as well. We continue from China to Russia, where the Russian state-sponsored threat actor APT-28 is using signal chats to target government targets in the Ukraine with two previously undocumented malware families named Beard Shell and Slim Agent. This is not a security issue in Signal. Instead, they're leveraging the messaging platform as part of a phishing attack. And so phishing has shifted. Yesterday, I was supposed to be in Israel talking at Cyber Week. Awareness 2.0 was my topic. And this was exactly the kind of idea of Awareness 2.0. So Awareness 1.0 was our view of email security, right? Teach people not to click phishing, identify spoofing, all of that good stuff. And I think we've reached the maximum capacity of that. And we know we did because threat actors stopped using it. One, because tools got better, right? More and more companies started identifying. You had more money invested in your inbox to prevent those emails from making it through. So you're getting bombarded, but maybe only one or two are making it through. And because humans are better trained, they're able to recognize it. So threat actors shifted. And where'd they shift to? SMS, their phones. Because we inherently trust everything that comes through our phones. Inherently, something comes through WhatsApp, Signal, SMS. You primarily, and if you'll engage it because it's your cell phone. And we seem to think that our private phone numbers are private, but if you're a CISO like me, you realize your private phone number is no longer private because you got random salespeople calling you all the darn time trying to sell you something. And when you didn't sign up for it. So there's that aspect of it. But the shift is significant because Signal kind of trusted, encrypted. There's this fake illusion of security. And this fake illusion of security is the number one reason why people fall into it. The idea of zero trust, which in the early years of the podcast, I absolutely mocked zero trust. And now as I've matured as a security practitioner, I've come to understand the logic behind zero trust, a logic that no one could properly explain to me, I think, until maybe Andy Ellis or Alan Alford did several years ago. And so when I think of that, I now understand the idea of you got to have zero trust in almost every single piece of communication you get on your devices. And when you're at war, i.e. Ukraine, Israel, Iran, Russia, you can never trust anything you get, no matter who it comes from, because the type of attacks that are mounted against you are formidable and they're coming from nation states. So they're really, really well thought out of. And this is what's happening here. This new investigation, according to the CERT UA, discovered that the messages sent via the encrypted messenger app Signal were used to deliver malicious documents to targets which used macros to load a memory resident backdoor called Covenant. Covenant acts as a malware loader. It downloads a DLL and a shellcode written WAV file that loads Beard Shell, a previously undocumented C+ malware. For the loader and primary malware, payload persistence is secured by a COM hijacking in the Windows registry. So all in all, APT28 continues to hammer the Ukraine. The Department of Homeland Security's warning over the weekend of escalating cyber attack risks by Iran-backed hacking groups and pro-Iranian hacktivists. I'm going to go ahead and say that you can reduce that threat alert, and the only reason for it is because of the ceasefire President Trump negotiated. And I think the reason for that is because Iran understands that if they poke President Trump again, his response may not be as what it was on Saturday night. I don't know. So I wouldn't say we're not going to see any attacks. You'll likely see some hacktivist types of attacks here on the back end because Iran, for some reason, thinks they won something. They didn't win anything. The fact that 25 or 30 of their military generals were all taken out in a 10-day, 12-day war tells you everything you need to know about losing a war. And Israel never intended to invade Iran. So weird idea of victory. Either way, stay alert, but I think that this threat level is likely to get reduced over the next few days and weeks through progressive poisoning. So let's get into AI. So here's the aspect with AI. So there's AI security, there's securing chatbots, there's securing LLMs and all that. There's also just inherently with any new technology, vulnerabilities that we discover. This one discovered by, I believe, a company called Neural Trust. They've dubbed this echo chamber, and it's a jailbreak type that seen the evolution of multi-turn jailbreaks from involving conversational rather than single entry prompts. So if you went to ChatGPT and said, how do I build a bomb? It'll tell you, get the hell out of here. I don't know. I'm not going to help you do that because that's inherently bad. But if you conversationally start to manipulate it, then it conversationally starts to give you all the information you need over a period of time. So there's that aspect of it as well. So echo chamber here is similar to, but different from Microsoft's Crescendo jailbreak. The latter asks questions and tries to lure the LLM into a desired prohibited response. The echo chamber, however, now tells the LLM where to go, but plants acceptable seeds that progressively guide the AI into providing the required response. So what does that really mean? It means that AI still has a lot of maturity to do. That training it is there. Answering a question here, did you miss the stolen records part? Yes, it was the first story we covered, James, on the show this morning. So you can go back and watch it here in just a minute. So to use the often quoted example of getting an LLM to explain how to build a Molotov cocktail, Molotov within a single query is green, cocktail is green, and a Molotov cocktail and bomb are both red and must be avoided. So the LLM responds because there is nothing wrong in the prompt, and because it responds, that response is automatically in the green zone, and so you kind of get that idea there. Ways to fix it, you just really got to mature the product. Tech support scammers are now leveraging unsophisticated but efficient methods into tricking unsuspecting users into calling them by essentially they're not really hacking the websites. Here's what they're doing. They're going on Google and they're doing search ads and they're putting paid ads, number one top search box with their phone number. And so people call them. So general rule of thumb, this is a great opportunity to send out an email to the entire company, say, pay attention to this. And if you're going to call any one of these, call the number you have on your device. If you're calling your bank, take your credit card or debit card, call the back of it, or go directly to their website. Don't Google it. That's one idea. And who still does Google search when you have Perplexity? Same thing with Apple, Microsoft, HP, Facebook doesn't have a call center. So all of that is really important to point out. A new report from Tenable says nearly 1 in 10 publicly accessible cloud storage buckets contained sensitive data, with virtually all of the data considered confidential or restricted. On the other hand, more than 8 in 10 organizations using AWS have enabled an important identity checking service, according to the report. The number of organizations with a triple threat cloud instance publicly exposed, critically vulnerable, and highly privileged declined from 38% between January and June of 2024 to 29% between October 24 and March of 25. So again, we're seeing improvement in managing our cloud infrastructure, and leaking secrets and data, according to this report from Tenable, showing some real promise there as well. Let's do this. The U.S. House of Representatives is now banning congressional staff members from using WhatsApp on government-issued devices, citing security concerns. This is being reported by Axios. According to the House Chief Administrative Officer, they were motivated by worries about the app's security. The Office of Cybersecurity has deemed WhatsApp a high risk to users due to the lack of transparency in how it protects user data, absence of stored data encryption, and potentially security risks involved with its use. To that end, House staffs are prohibited from downloading the app on any device issued by the government, including mobile, desktop, or web browser versions. Meta's communication director, Andy Stone, said they disagree with the House Chief Administrative Officer's characterization in the strongest possible terms, and they'll try to prove him wrong. So that's there as well. The NATO summit taking place in The Hague today and tomorrow was being sabotaged by apparently a fire on the rail tracks, nearly destroying 30 track cables early on Tuesday morning and causing considerable damage. The fix is not expected until late this evening. This is getting people stuck in Amsterdam, having to think of other transportation methods to get to the NATO summit. And again, these sleeper cells within Europe exist, and they sabotage. And some of them do it because they know who they're doing it for, and others do it because they're getting paid to do it. And so they go, they do it, and this is to disrupt the NATO summit taking place today and tomorrow in The Hague in the Netherlands. Beautiful city, by the way. One thing I will point out to this is, this isn't cyber related, but I guarantee you the people who did it, and likely the perpetrators, once they're found, will be people who were manipulated online by someone to go do this, maybe as a TikTok challenge or something, and they did it. So not even knowing what they were doing and the impact of what they were doing. That's most of the cases of what we've seen. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live again with all the latest and greatest cybersecurity news. Please make sure to subscribe, follow, share, like, comment, and see you then. See you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Till then, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.